updates on GST. I mean, GST is one subject which requires constant update, and we have CA Annapurna D Kabra to take us through the recent amendments in GST and also on the amnesty scheme. I request CA Shripasika Satyanan to escort Annapurna D Kabra to the dais and greet her with a floral bouquet. Welcome to you. Thank you so much for taking your time and then coming here, Annapurna. Thank you. Before I hand over the dais to Annapurna Kabra for the session, I would like to introduce her. She is a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and she has completed a DISA and DRM course conducted by the Institute of Chartered Accountants. She has contributed various articles on VAT and GST to various professional journals, including the journals from the Institute of Chartered Accountants Bangalore branch as well as Karnataka State Chartered Accountants Association. She has co-authored many books which include VAT, Audit Guide, Guide on drafting of material on GST for ICAI, and also GST. She is a faculty for GST certification course as conducted by the ICI. She is a member of Bangalore Study Group of ICI. She is a committee member for development of study module for Karnataka State GST officers and a regular faculty at Fiscal Policy Institute. She is also being co-opted as a co-chairperson of the Karnataka States and GST Committee of Federation of Karnataka Chambers of Commerce, that is FKCCI. She has addressed various gatherings across the state, addressing the chartered accountants, tax practitioners, dealers, businessmen, and also the students. She is currently practicing as a proprietorship in Bangalore, and it's a pleasure to introduce Annapurna to all of you. Thank you for being here, and over to you, Annapurna.
Good evening to all the members. First of all, I thank Bangalore branch of ICI SIRC for giving me an opportunity to, I think I can say, to share or to interact on the topic of recent amendments including the amnesty scheme. I think after this sparkling Diwali, we have a lot of sparkling amendments also, right? So the today's session should be like an interactive session, where we will be having a lot of practical insights, and definitely would like to discuss and would like to members also to participate and try to add your experiences or your what I can say, your inputs on this amendments. I don't know where to start this amendment actually, because from last 4 months, I think it's around 120 days, we already have more than 120 amendments. Because this 53rd council meeting has been was conducted on 22nd June 2024. 54th council meeting was conducted on 9th September 2024. And Finance Act 2024 was notified in August 2024. So I think so many amendments were happening around. Some are still forming part of minutes. Some has come out through notification. Some has come through circulars. And something is there in the pipeline also. I think yesterday we were able to see that on insurance, I think 55th council meeting will be discussing, and possibly it will be conducted at the end of this November month, right? So with this, I just took the screenshot of that, because this was something was circulating around yesterday night. What is this exactly like? This is nothing but I think most of us would have experienced virtual hearing and physical hearing, right? And during COVID, I think we all have experienced the virtual hearing with the department. And now something they brought it as a form of instruction, where they have made as a virtual mode as a mandatory. And if you want as a physical mode for representation, then you have to make a request to the authority. But with your experience and with my experience, I always found physical is more effective than virtual. You agree or you don't agree?
Yeah.
Many times we have seen that in virtual mode, whatever we say, they note down and it gets closed. But in case of physical, I have experienced that we are able to effectively produce the evidence, whether it is a physical form and it is physically we are able to explain in a better manner than virtual mode. But anyway, from yesterday, this has been made effective and virtual mode has become mandatory. I think it may get challenged, but as of now, virtual mode is mandatory. And if you want a physical mode, you have to make a request to the authority and accordingly they will allow you to represent physically. We have to wait and see how it is going to get represented in tribunal also. Anyway, this was something which has come yesterday, so I thought I'll just bring out. Today, not much I was able to see except Donald is the election I can say, otherwise nothing updates in GST. I can only update on US election today, right? Anyway, let us come to the most topic. I think this is quite simple, but we are able to see multiple views on this in the university, and I think we have to take your views also on this. A very simple amendment has been brought in from 8th October 2024, where if the residential dwelling is used as a commercial purpose, then in that case the recipient is liable to pay under reverse charge. Very simple is if your supplier is unregistered, and as a recipient if you are a registered person and if you are taking a building on rent, then in that case as a recipient you are liable to pay under reverse charge. This is effective from 10th October 2024. The issue is your landlord should be unregistered. If your landlord is already registered, then there is no reverse charge mechanism. Only if your landlord is unregistered, then there is an impact of reverse charge. I think many of us would have taken our office on rent, where many times your landlord is unregistered. In that case, as a recipient, we are liable to pay under reverse charge on that rent aspect. Now, very important is, when this amendment has come, they brought only property. They have stated service by way of renting of any property other than residential dwelling. So there were multiple views by the experts saying that property includes both movable property as well as immobile property. I've seen a lot of expert views on this. Whereas Minutes was saying immobile property, the notification was using only property. Then a corrigendum was issued and accordingly they have made it as immobile property. So services by way of renting of any immobile property other than residential dwelling is covered under reverse charge. I've taken the very easy part. Now let me come to the practical issues in this. The practical issue is the recipient should be a registered person. Should he be a registered person, or is he liable to take a registration if he has not taken the registration? This is the first opening issue which we all have to look into this. Because this services is saying the recipient should be a registered person. This is the one issue which is not clarified. If you see the other entries in 13 part 2017, it is either using business entity or either using it as a specific entities. But only in this entry we are finding it as a registered person. Is there any reason for that? So I think you got the point what I am trying to say. So a very simple example I thought I'll just bring out for the members. For example, I am owning a hostel. My landlord is owning the hostel. He has given me on rent and I am going to run this hostel. You got the point?
Yeah.
I am going to run the hostel and the landlord has given me that hostel on rent. Landlord is unregistered. Should I pay under reverse charge? I am falling under the exemption limit because recently there has been like exemption for the hostels that if your rental is up to 20,000 and if it is continuous for less than 90 days, more than 90 days, then you are still fitting into that exemption. So I am anyway exempted from GST. But as a recipient, should I get registered and pay under reverse charge? You are able to understand?
Yes.
The second aspect, for example, I am running the school. I have taken the school building on rent and I am running my educational services. I am liable to pay under reverse charge. So very important is the recipient should be a registered person. The time when you are liable to pay, you should be a registered person. I know there is a section 23 subsection 2. There is a section 24 which says that you are liable to take a compulsory registration in case you are liable to pay under reverse charge. and this has been introduced in 9 subsection 3 and not under 9 subsection 4. So a lot of issues are there. I thought I will just give a eye-opening thoughts on this amendment so that if there is any further inputs on that, you can just add it. Otherwise, there was somebody who asked me, Madam, this is effective from 10th October 2024. Should I pay RCM only for 20 days? You got the point? This is effective from 10th October, so anyway we all have to pay now. Even my landowner is also unregistered. So even I have to pay under RCM. Should I pay for 20 days rent or should I pay for 30 days rent? It should be 30 days because time of supply has happened post to 10th October, so accordingly it should be paid for the whole month and not for the part of the month, though it is effective from 10th October 2024, right? So these are some thoughts on this amendment, and it's very important. So on the commercial property, if the landlord is registered, it is under forward charge. If the landlord is unregistered, it is under reverse charge. Subject to that, recipient is a registered person. Many PGs are there, many service apartments are there. They are still confused because they are going to run their business. Whether they are liable under reverse charge or not is a question of litigation. But anyway, with this understanding, I still believe that the recipient should be a registered person, right? So I was just trying to, in case if the tomorrow department says that as you are running a hostel, it is a commercial building. So definitely you have to fall under this notification. So there you have to make a difference between a renting services and accommodation services. What landlord has given to a hostel owner is renting services. What hostel owner is going to run as a hostel services, that is called as a accommodation services. So there is a difference between renting services as well as accommodation services. So we should understand the difference whenever we are going to analyze this notification. That is 9/2024, and this is notified from 10th October 2024, right? Next. Anything you have on this perspective, you can just add it, otherwise I'll just move on.
Composition dealer will be registered.
Even composition dealers are also liable to pay under reverse charge. There was a query today morning saying that a hotelier is running a business of hotel. He is paying 5% without ITC, and he has taken that hotel on rent. So should he pay RCM or not?
Yes.
He should pay RCM. Though he is not eligible for credit, is a second part. But as a recipient, he is liable to pay reverse charge tax under 9 subsection 3 of GST Act, right? So even he is a composition dealer or regular dealer, is liable to pay under reverse charge.
Can RCM be applicable on notional rent also?
Notional rent, we have to refer to the valuation rules. If you are not able to ascertain the value, then you have to refer to the valuation rules. That price is not the sole consideration, then you have to refer to Rule 27 to Rule 30.
Tenant is paying to maintain his charge.
Yes?
Maintain his charge.
Yes.
Rent plus maintain. Maintain how to GST.
Yes, see, because this is something called as a composite rent. So it will become as an ancillary to that rent, whatever is being given. So based on that, it will become part of your rent. Unless you are able to fulfill the condition of your agent, it will remain as a part of your value of rent. Next. Now, yes.
Suppose for a registration only ISD one state, then if I take the service from the unregistered person, right? Then
See, earlier there was a requirement that they have to take a separate registration. Now recently they have made an amendment to ISD that they can make a payment under RCM and can take the credit. Yes. Next. Next is very important is metal scrap. How interestingly they have made an amendment to only metal scrap dealer. Somebody was asking, is this applicable to all scrap dealers? It is not applicable to all scrap dealers. It is only applicable to metal scrap dealers whose goods are falling between the chapter 72 to chapter 81, right? So only in those cases it is liable under reverse charge. Here also the supplier should be an unregistered person and the recipient should be a registered person, and it is liable in the hands of registered person, right? Now next very important amendment what they have made it, the supplier who is going to supply this scrap will also have other supplies, other taxable supplies, right? Yes or no? So in that scenario, there is a notification in 23. I'll try to make as simple as possible. There is a notification in 23 bar 2002, section 23 subsection 2, which states that if as a supplier, I will just give an example, as a lawyer, when lawyer is going to provide a services to business entity, who is going to pay under reverse charge? Business entity. So lawyer, though he is providing the taxable service, but he is exempted by way of notification, right? So similarly, in this case, for metal scrap, they said that exemption is not applicable. Even though the recipient is liable to pay under reverse charge, the supplier still can take a registration. Yes? That exemption, whatever is there for other kind of services or other kind of goods is not applicable for this metal scrap dealer. Hope I'm clear? Right? Next, third very important is TDS. This, when they are going to pay under reverse charge, they have to deduct the TDS under section 51, like how other government undertaking, whenever we are procuring, they are deducting the TDS. Similarly, here also as a metal scrap dealer, as a recipient, we are supposed to make a deduction of TDS under 51. And even if I am procuring from government organization also, even in that case also there is a requirement to do the TDS under 51 for metal scrap dealer. So metal scrap dealer can be sold by government dealer or by anybody other than the government dealer also. Right? Hope I am clear? Next. This is something issue to understand the composite supply. A kind of clarification where there is a transmission supply of electricity. As you all know, supply of electricity is exempted from GST, right? Which is provided by this distribution and transmission utility. Whatever the supply of electricity is made by them is exempted from GST by way of notification November 2017. Now the main issue was they are also giving the ancillary services. While providing these electricity services, they are also giving other services like metering equipment on rent, transformers, capacitors, electricity connections, meters, service line, duplicate bills. So department was saying no, exemption is only to the extent of electricity. And for the ancillary services, there is a levy of GST. So various notices were issued to this entities. So accordingly, there is a clarification saying that even though these are the ancillary services to electricity, it is exempted from GST. And very interestingly, they have used the word etc. See, whenever we read the notification, you have to read word to word. So the more interesting I have tried to highlight here is etc. Etc. means what? Any ancillary services in relation to the supply of electricity are exempted from GST. This is only illustrating what has been added in this respective notification. Otherwise, all ancillary services are exempted from GST. And from 1/7/2017 to 9/10/2024, it is as is where is basis. What is this as is where is basis? You would have seen in multiple circulars, multiple notification, even prior to this circular 236, 24, prior to that many notifications you have seen. What is this as is where is basis? Most dangerous, I can say. How it is more dangerous? Because something they say, bring out saying that for the past period it is as is where is basis. So the person who has paid the tax is not going to get the refund. The person who has not paid the tax, for him there is no requirement to pay the taxes. It's something the person voluntarily has paid the tax, for him he cannot claim the refund. As is where is means whatever the stand you have taken, it is regularized. A very interesting, if you all are interested, please read the circular 236. Specifically, they have brought a clarification on this as is where is basis. For example, there are some traders who are paying on 5%. There are some traders who are paying at 12%. There is a disparity between the entries in the notification. So you believe no, it should be at 5%. Some believe it is at 12%. So the government has recommended, based on the recommendation, they said the rate of tax should be 5%. So the person who has already paid at 12%, how much excess he has paid? 12 minus 5, 7%. He cannot claim the refund of that. And the person who has paid 5%, he is regularized. You got it? So there is something called as is where is, and if you have not paid it, you are exempted from GST. You need not pay again, unless it is a interpretational issues. You need not pay the tax. So there are three kinds of, one is lower tax, one is no tax, one is actual tax. So you will find a different type of, so when it is is where is basis, whatever has happened in past, it is past. The department cannot initiate any recovery action against those dealers who have paid less unless it is a matter of interpretation. Hope I am clear? Yes? So very important, you have to read that. Circular 236/2024. Next. Many institutions, many government entities are giving research and development services. Department has already issued a notice saying that you are liable for GST because they are going to receive the grants. Against this grant, they are going to provide this research and development services. So now the government has come out with a notification saying that any research and development services which are provided by these government entities or universities or research association, college or institutions which are notified under Income Tax Act, they are exempted from GST. Right? Hope I am clear? So, but very important is, you would have received grant 20 years back, but you are providing research today. So which is important? Whenever you are going to provide that research, at that point of time, that university should be notified. Not when you are going to receive the grant, right? Are you able to understand? So whenever you are going to provide this research and development services, at that point of time, your entity should be notified under Income Tax Act, 35(1) of your Income Tax Act. Next, affiliation services. I think some of them would have read this decision of Karnataka High Court, Rajiv Gandhi University. There is a discussion on this affiliation services which are given by this central board or state educational board like Karnataka Education Board or whatever it is, which are giving to our schools. They are giving the affiliation services, like many universities are getting affiliation from the board. So for this affiliation services, there was a dispute whether it is leviable or not leviable. The Rajiv Gandhi University case which I am referring is under service tax. So referring to that also, and based on this disputes between this educational board and councils, the government has clarified that these affiliation services which are given to government schools are exempted from GST. If affiliation services are given to schools other than the government schools, then it is leviable to GST. Am I right? Hope you are able to get into this. There was a dispute on this affiliation services. Many, according to my experience with few of the institutions which I am handling, they have not paid this GST on affiliation. They believe that it is an exempted services, but now it has been, they have taken it as an as-is basis because there was a circular in 2021 where they clarified that affiliation services are liable at 18%. So before that, they have come out with as-is various basis, but now they are saying that only for government school it is exempted. For private schools and other than government schools, it is leviable to GST at 18%. Right? Next. I'll just go into little fast on this rate notifications because I think it may not be very on day to day, but I'll just try to highlight what are the recent amendments. One is regarding this transportation of passengers by helicopter. I think few of them would have visited this Kedarnath, Vaishnav Devi, I don't know, or you would have availed these helicopter services. So even that is leviable to GST. But the issue was, if I am taking that helicopter as a charter services, or if I am taking it on a seat share basis, whether the rate of tax remains the same or is it different. So now they have clarified that if it is a seat sharing basis, then it is leviable to tax at 5%. If it is taken as a charter flight or charter helicopter, then it is leviable at 18%. Right? So that is what they have made a rate of tax on this. And various cancer medicines they have brought under 5%. By adding entry 233, 234 and 235. Earlier they were at 12% and 18%. Now various cancer medicines are brought under 5%. That is one important. And very important is this savories and salted products, which is without unfried and uncooked. There is lot of decisions you will find on this. Lot of department have issued. They are saying for all this kind of product it is 18%. I think some of you would have received the notice on this namkins, all these chips and all these bakery products. So now they have very much clarified saying that If it is an extruded or expanded product like savory or salted like bhuji and all, which are, in that case the tax rate is 12%. But if it is other than unfried or uncooked snack pellets, then it is leviable at 18%. So I think to some extent this dispute will reduce now, because there is a lot of dispute on this namkins and other bakery products. And even this, which are seeds which are used in this motor vehicle, what is the rate of tax actually? Motor vehicle? What is the rate of tax? If you buy motor vehicle, what rate of tax they are charging? 28%. So there are certain manufacturers of seeds for only motor vehicle. So they were paying at 18%. So now they brought them, they substituted, and because those seeds were belonging to other kind of motor vehicles, so now they have changed it and they said seeds of kind used for motor vehicles, everything, because there was a dispute on this issue, and now they said seed of kind used for motor vehicles is liable at 28%. Why? Because motor vehicle is also at 28% and even the seeds are also at 28%, right? So these are the few changes which are there for the rate notification. Now one more very important is, I think most of us would have experienced this. From 2017 till now, there are many reverse charge services where we have not paid the taxes, right? You agree or you don't agree? We have not paid the tax. Why? Why we have not paid the tax? Only the worry was, if I pay the tax now, can I take the credit? Yes or no? I am ready to pay the tax, but can I take the credit? Why? Because the credit is defined by section 16 subsection 4, which gives the time limit to avail the credit. So this dispute was there from last 5 to 6 years, and now they have made an amendment in this section 13 of this GST Act by introducing that an invoice can be issued as a recipient. Based on that invoice, they can take the credit in the current period itself. So for example, if it is 18-19 period relating to RCM, if you are going to pay now, you can still issue that self-invoice, make the payment and can take the credit. This is only up to, I think, 31st October, am I right, sir, the answer? 31st October 2024. Because from 1st November 2024, they have already made a section 31, subsection 3, subsection F, or subsection 5 and subsection F, right? They have made an amendment saying that as may be prescribed. So as may be prescribed means a rule has been inserted, that is rule 47A, where they have specified that you are supposed to issue the invoice within 30 days from the date of receipt of services. So prior to up to 31st October, you can issue the invoice, pay the taxes and take the credit. But from 1st November, rule 47A is effective, and accordingly they are liable to pay under RCM. Sorry, they are supposed to issue the invoice within 30 days from the date of receipt of services or receipt of goods. So that's why a new rule 47A has been introduced. Rule 47 is applicable for suppliers. Rule 47A is applicable for recipients, where they are liable to pay under reverse charge. Yes, sir. Then
Subsection 3 and subsection 4 of 9.
yes, 9 subsection 3 and 9 subsection 4, where your supplier is unregistered and
Unregistered.
yes.
But subsection 3 of section 9 says both are registered and no.
9 subsection 3 says, but section 31 subsection 3 subsection F says that only when your supplier is unregistered, as a recipient, as a registered person, you are supposed to issue the self invoice which has been prescribed, and that prescription is there in rule 47A. Very interestingly, they have not used person, sir. They have used unregistered person. If you can just refer that section, it is very clearly given as unregistered person. Though subsection 9.3 and 9.4 uses registered, but based on this 31, I am saying it is unregistered. Right?
Can I prepare the invoice? I violate this condition. 30 days I will not do it. I will prepare again after 2 years only. And still can I take the grade?
See, till 31st October we had a circular also, and there is a clarity on that aspect.
But then
But-
it is I'm only violating the conditions of 30 days. That further, whatever the penalty is there, I will pay for that.
122.
Then I will go for I will prepare the invoice again after 2 years or 1 year, whatever the time, and I take the grade into 16.4.
If you are able to take within the time prescribed of 16.4, it is well within the
My
time.
invoice is
Yes.
now in the invoice date.
Yes.
Because there that it's about the invoice date.
Yes, sir. So I think because section 31 is using as may be prescribed, So I am reading this as me to prescribe is only rule 47. So if I am not doing within that point, it means somewhere I am contravening that. So without invoice, I cannot fulfill the condition of section 16(2) subsection 1. So based on that, there is a possibility of rejecting your credit.
But there is another condition that only once you make the payment under the SCM, then you can pay the credit.
Yes,
So
yes.
that becomes impossible conditions.
Yes.
I'm paying the taxes after say 2 years.
Yes.
Then I'm preparing the invoice. Then I'm paying credit.
Yes. So you are ready to pay the penalty and simultaneously want to take the credit. I think we should wait for the next version of this now. Because as of now, Rule 47 is saying 30 days. So if you are not paying, I think we can hope that circular will still be effective because it has not been withdrawn till now. So if that circular is still not withdrawn, I think we can use that circular and take the credits. But I still believe 47A is more effective. Next, GSTR 7. A very small changes they have made it, but it has a very big impact. GSTR 7 is applicable for government departments. They were supposed to file this GSTR, many of them have not filed GSTR 7. Till now, I am handling few of the government entities. If I say them, sir, have you filed GSTR 7? What is the GSTR 7? So, many times, so that's why they have come out with a waiver of late fee. There was some late fee for not filing of return. So they said, okay, you pay late fee up to 1,000 rupees and please file all this GSTR 7. Next, section 39 subsection 3 was saying TDS should be deducted only when there is a TDS. You got the point? When there is no TDS to be deducted, then there was no requirement to file this return. Now they have made an amendment, whether there is a liable for TDS or not, you are supposed to file this GSTR 7. And this GSTR 7 has to be filed by 10th of the following month. Very important amendment. So what is the 3 amendment? One is there is a waiver of late fee for the earlier period. If you have not filed, please file it and take the waiver of late fee. Second is, earlier only when there was a TDS, you were supposed to file the returns. Now it is not so. Even though there is no TDS, you are supposed to file even the nil returns also. And the third important is, you have to file by 10th of the following month. So for October, you have to file by 10th of November 2024, right? This is the amendment for GSTR 7. Next, I think. This presentation will be shared to all the members. Next, preferential location charges. Some of these construction industries were receiving the notices from the department saying that, what is preferential location? I think some of us would have purchased the flat. I want swimming pool direction side flat. I want high-rise, high-floor flat. I want some good view flat. All that, I think there are certain conditions for preferential location. So for that, the developers are charging extra. If you want high floor rise, then they will charge high floor rise charges. All these are called as preferential location charges. So the department was arguing that these preferential location charges are nowhere connected to your construction charges. What is the rate of tax for construction services? 5%. After 2019, I think if you are buying the flat, you are paying at 5%. And the department was raising that on these preferential location charges, the rate of tax should be 18% and not 5%. So there is a clarification saying that preferential services are also ancillary to your construction services, and accordingly the rate of tax should be 5% and not 18%. Hope I am clear? It's a welcome amendment, no? In service tax we had a separate service as preferential, but in GST it's a concept of composite supply. So accordingly the rate of tax, whatever is applicable to principal supply, the same rate of tax will be applicable to ancillary supply. Yes?
Since it is clarificative, will it have a retrospective application?
This one is a clarification. See, we have to understand that circulars are binding only on the departments. Circulars are not binding on the SSC. But if it is giving us a clarifications, we have to read it as a retrospective. Unless they specify, unless there is some amendment, notification we have to interpret differently. But circular is giving some clarifications which according to my view, it cannot be prospective or retrospective. It is only a clarification which has been clarified by way of circular. And departments are binded by these circulars.
Can this be taken as a basis to interpret rate of tax on the open car parking?
Open car parking is a different set of chapter on this. I think one more circular will come for that. Because I'll just tell you how it is. I think there's a Supreme Court decision also that you cannot sell your open car parking. Only the right to use of that parking can be given to a buyer or the resident, as the case may be. So ultimately, when a resident is buying a parking, he's not owning that parking. He's only getting the right to use that parking, right? If you are buying 3 parking or 4 parking, are you becoming the owner of that 4 parking? No. You are becoming the owner only to the extent what is your carpet area or super built up area, as the case may be. So this right to use, there is a decision, I am not able to recall that Supreme Court decision, which has been stated that you cannot sell your car parking. But it is only amounting to a right to use. As it is right to use, and this car parking to the extent when it is sold along with this construction services, it should be the same rate of tax what is applicable to construction services. But after 5 years, I realized that I want one more parking. And if I am going to buy that additional parking after I complete, then according to me, it cannot go back again to the principal supply. It will be a different services, and accordingly, as per my view, it should be 18% and not 5%. I'm just giving my views. Everybody can have your own views on this, but this is the way we can interpret for car parking also. Thanks. Next, most important, goods transport. Transporters were celebrating when this has come, because most of them have received this notice. They were paying GST at 5% or 12%. As you all know, this GST, these transporters have 2 schemes. One is they can go either with forward charge with 5% or 12%, or they can go for reverse charge where the recipient is liable to pay under 5%. So this is the scheme. So basically what they were doing, along with these transportation charges, there were various other charges like loading charges, unloading charges, packing charges, unpacking, transshipment, temporary warehousing. All these departments were saying it is not at all a transport services, so it should be liable at 15%. Wherever the issue has arose, the clarification has come. So the department again has come out with the concept of composite supply, saying that if your principal supply is your transport services, which is leviable at 5%, all these ancillary services like loading, packing, transshipment, temporary warehousing, even those services are also liable to tax at 5%. Yes? So I think many of them who were under litigations, it is a big saving for them. But after completing your transportation, if there is some ancillary services you are providing, then it is leviable at 18%. Otherwise, if you are providing in the course of your transportation, the rate of tax will be 5% or 12% as the case may be. So whatever the rate of tax applicable to your principal supply, the same rate of tax will be applicable to your ancillary supplies. Right? Few of the invoices I have seen, many of the transporters, they were charging separately for this. They were collecting separately for this. So now if you can change it and you can charge only 5% on that transportation services. Next is, I think another 5-10 minutes after that we will go for a very, what I can say, we'll discuss more on amnesty scheme. I think that is what most of us are waiting for that. But we just go to this very important part of this, some circulars which have been issued recently. Input tax credit on demo vehicle. You don't read this circular. You tell me your view. You would have seen many demo vehicles. Seeing that demo vehicles, you think of buying your vehicle. Yes or no? So whether this is input tax credit should be eligible or not eligible? Don't read this circular. It should be eligible or not eligible? Actually, it should be eligible. Why? Because seeing a demo vehicle, you are going to buy the other vehicle. So it is indirectly making you to take a further supply of goods or services by the dealers. So that's why they have clarified saying that it is used by the dealer for making further supply of such motor vehicles. So accordingly, ITC should be eligible. That is the one aspect, the clarification we have stated. But if these demo vehicles are used for transportation of employees, directors, managing, then you cannot. I cannot say this is demo vehicle, so I can use. No. If you are using it for transportation purpose of your employees or your directors, then you cannot take the credit. Only purely if it is used for making a sale of other vehicle, then to that extent the ITC can be availed. That is what they have stated. And there are various companies who are giving a marketing services to these manufacturers. Like for Toyota, there is some marketing company who is assisting Toyota to do the marketing of their product. So even those companies who are going to do the marketing of this by using the demo vehicle, even those marketing companies also cannot take the credit on this demo vehicle. So basically they are trying to say that it is eligible only to the manufacturers or the dealers who are owning it and who is using it for further supply of goods. Otherwise it is not eligible. So this is for the gist of this circulars. Next. So confusing. Ultimately after 7 years they omitted. This was sitting somewhere in the refund rule 1894A, 1894B and rule 9610. I think this 7 years. You know 1894A, 4B was there, that is applicable for deemed export and merchant export, but there was no formula only till now. It says that your input services should be correlated to your output services, but there is no formula which has been specified. So what we were doing, we were using 89 subsection, it is rule 89 sub rule 4. And there is something called as rule 9610 where they have stated that where they are exporting using certain schemes. So there was a disparity between this 89.4A, 4B and 9610. So to avoid that disparity, they removed all these rules only. So now ultimately 89 sub rule 4 is effective and all these 3 rules are removed to avoid this disparity between this dealers, exporters who are availing the benefit of the scheme like advance authorization or EOU scheme, or the merchant exporters or the deemed exporters. So ultimately just I want to say that there was no formula, but still they were enjoying that credit benefit, and there was one more entity where they were availing the schemes as well as they were enjoying that benefit. So there was a, yes sir.
Now the 9610 they removed it, 1844 they removed it. But have they done any damage in the customs notification for?
We have to wait and see, sir. That's what even I was reading today morning. I was just trying to read this agenda also. I was trying to read in that agenda, they have stated that they are going to make an amendment there also.
So it means that they will make the GST payable.
Yes. That is what I am thinking. I was reading that law committee report which is given in this 53rd council meeting agenda, where they have clarified what is the reason for removal of this. So with that I was able to link this.
So as of now there is no amendment.
There is no amendment, sir. Till today, whatever I have seen, I did not find any such amendment. So I think you have to wait and see what further amendments they are going to make in customs. Yes. Next, the one which you have to start now. Something called as a rectification procedure. Please don't misunderstand this rectification with what rectifications we are doing in our regular course. What is a regular rectification? The regular rectification is under section 161, which is giving you to do a rectification to your orders, to your notices, if there is some mistake apparent on record, right? That is under 161, where within 3 months you can immediately apply to the respective authority and do the rectifications. This rectification is a very special rectification. What is this rectification? How many, I think more or less all of us would have disputed on this 16 subsection 4. What is 16 subsection 4? It pertains to the time limit to avail your input tax credit. Say for example for 17-18 you had the time limit to avail the credit up to say I think March 19. Or for 18-19 you had the time limit up to September 2019. So there was specific time limit which has been given under section 16.4 within which you can avail the credit. If you are availing the credit beyond that period, then it is ineligible, and I think most of us would have availed the credit and you would have already received the notices. Some might be pending in notices, some might be in the order, some might be in the appeal. In that scenario, the government has come out with a notification saying that if the matter is under appeal, for 16.4, if the matter is under appeal, you cannot apply for rectification. Please note it. If the matter is with first appellate authority, you cannot apply for rectification. But if the matter is before the adjudicating authority, then you can apply a application rectification. That is, either the order should be passed under 73, 74, section 107 or 108. It should be a concluded order. If already the appeal is pending before the first appellate authority, you cannot apply this rectification application. This can be applied only in the case where the orders are already passed. And this is applicable for the period from 2017, that is July 2017 till March 2021. What are the period? 17-18 18-19, 19-20 and 20-21. For 4 years, this is eligible. Subject to that, you take the credit up to November 2021. Even for 17-18, you can take the credit up to November 21. Actually, there is a Kerala High Court decision. I don't know, somebody would have read that. Trade links, trade link decision is there. That decision little bit has got deviated with this amendment. There they said for that year it is only up to November. Whereas this amendment is more beneficial to the traders, because for 17-18, if you have already taken the credit up to November 21, you are eligible for this scheme. Just understand the fate of the taxpayers who is not aggressive for litigation and who has voluntarily complied by paying the tax, interest, penalty. What is the fate of those people? Can they take the refund? No, they cannot take the refund. The taxpayers who have litigated, who has not paid, are the winners for this scheme. Are you able to understand? Who has not paid, who has delayed by taking the credit up to November, they are winners now, right? Because they are able to enjoy this scheme now. And this has come through section 16 subsection 5 and section subsection 16 subsection 6, where they have said even though 16.4 gives a time limit, 16.5 is making an amendment saying that yes, you are eligible for this credit. And there is one more scenario where your registration is cancelled. Yes, it is cancelled say in 2021. Now we are going to revoke it in 2024. I am just giving an example. So what is the fate of this 4 years credit? Even in those period also, if it is revoked either by the department or based on the order of courts or appellate tribunal, even in those scenarios also such credits can be availed. So wherever you have litigated, you can take the benefit of this credits. Wherever you have not litigated, voluntarily you have paid. Somebody were asking, few of them were asking, Madam, we have already paid, what to do now? This is very unfair. The person who has voluntarily complied with the law is getting penalized by paying interest and penalty, and the person who is litigating is getting more beneficial by coming into the scheme. I understand this. But anyway, this is a scheme which is a policy, it's a policy matter. So once the policy has been taken that the amnesty scheme has to be introduced, or this benefit of 16.5 and 16.6 should be given, I think based on that they have to make a rectification. Now this rectification should be filed within 6 months. Please remember, don't wait for years together. This time limit is there only for 6 months from the date of notification. So notification has already come on 10th October 2024 and already we have completed 1 month nearly. So I think you have 6 months to apply for a rectification. There is a form which is specified, that is Annexure A, where you can make an application. You have to make an application to the respective officer who has passed the order. It's not something a different officer. The person who has passed the order, the officer who has passed the order, he will be the same person who is going to issue this rectification order, right? So the time limit is 6 months and I've just given here. Anything else? Yes. So the proper officer, once you make an application within 6 months, the proper officer should issue the order within 3 months. So how much time it is going to take for? 6 months plus 3 months. So he has to pass the order. If you have filed a rectification application against 73 order and 74 order, then you are going to get DRC 8. If you are going to file this order against this 107, that is appellate order, then you are going to get APL 4, right? So these are the orders which will be issued by the respective jurisdiction, and opportunity of being heard will be given before concluding the order. If they have not given the opportunity of being heard, you can challenge on it directly. So before passing the order, they have to give a personal hearing and then only it will get concluded. Hope I am clear? Even this time limit of credit is applicable, even possibly there is some investigation which is going on in your case, or some demand, that is DRC 1 is issued, or where the notice is issued in DRC 1 or APL 4 is issued, whatever it is, at any stage of your adjudication, or only audit is going on, ADT 1 or ADT 2 under 74. So whichever stage it is, you can take the benefit of this 16.4, that is 16.5 and 16.6, right? You can immediately, I have seen few of the orders, even before this notification has come, already the officer has stated that it has been introduced through Finance Act, so the benefit of 16.4 is given, you can enjoy that benefit, right? So you have to make, if you don't make an intimation to them, they are going to pass according to them. So please make an intimation, pass, apply for rectification and accordingly take the benefit of that. Last point is very painful. The tax already paid or input tax credit already reversed is not eligible for refund under the GST law, right? So this is what is the fact today, and we have to accordingly advise the clients also. Now the most interesting is on amnesty scheme. I will just go a little slow because there is a lot of connected points, and day to day practically whatever we are facing we have to connect, because there are a lot of conditions they have attached to this amnesty scheme. Anybody is planning to fill this amnesty scheme, please be conscious while you are filling this form. Why? Because with my experience on this transitional credit, I don't know how many of us would have filed this transition, Tran 1, Tran 2, Tran 3. We had initial years of 5 months or 6 months, and we have seen that in that hurry-burry, there are a lot of errors which is committed of inserting in 3rd box, we have added in 4th box, or instead of 4th box, it has gone to 5th box, and because of that, it is still pending before the courts. So, similarly, even when you are going to file this SPL, whatever these forms I am going to specify, you have to be very conscious, very careful, and you have to be very, otherwise something goes wrong in filling your forms, I think you know the fate of that. So we have to understand each and every aspect, and then I think we can look into the execution of that. So before going into this amnesty scheme, anything else, anything want to say? Then I will go into that flow, because it will take few minutes on that to go step by step and look into those aspects. Yes, anything? Shall we go on that? How many of them have applied for Kara Samadhana scheme under VAT law? Somebody? Anybody has applied on VAT law in Kara Samadhana scheme? I think every year this is coming, yes. What is this Kara Samadhana scheme? It is also something kind of a scheme, concession, which is amnesty scheme, which is given under VAT law or all other minor acts. So similarly, we also had in service tax, SCM. And I think even in income tax also, there is some scheme they are planning to introduce even in this finance act, right? So similarly, we have called as amnesty scheme. I think from last 2 years, associations, lot of trade associations were back of government. They were saying that we want some scheme, we cannot handle this kind of litigations, either it is a 2A, 3B, or it is a reverse charge, or whatever it is, this flood of litigation has to get reduced. Then, because I think you know how the different stages have taken place. How many of us would have, might be, most of us would have experienced the last 6 years. 1 was there, 2 was there, 3 was there. 2, 3 got failed, then 3B came in between. 3B was temporary, then it became permanent. Then again the structure of 3B was getting the color from GSTR 2 and GSTR 3. Now we were just trying to settle down in between GSTR 1 and 3B. In between they said we will come out with new return GSTR 1 to 3. It came for 6 months, it got vanished. Again we tried to work with GSTR 1 and 3B with 2A. Again they come out with 2B. Then they said okay, we will try to adjust with 2B. So 2B came, 1 came, 3B came, we are trying to adjust with that. Again something came. What is that? GSTR 1A came. By the time we are trying to read what is this 1A, again which has come? IMS has come. What is that IMS? What is it IMS? Invoice Management System. It is effective from 1st October, but it is operative from 14th October. Such a short span of time. I think last 4 months, it's like by the time we accept or reject, we don't know. You understand? Have you gone through that IMS? Each entry wise, you have to decide. It's like a self-assessment invoice wise. It's not something oral. It's a self-assessment invoice wise. So you either you have to accept, you have to reject, or you have to keep pending. If you don't do anything, it is deemed that you have accepted. Which is more dangerous? Which is more dangerous? If you take action or if you don't take action? You have to take action or you should not take action. You have to take action. If you don't take action, if there is some invoice which you want to reject, you cannot reject because it is deemed to be accepted. So from 10th, GSTR 1, then 1A, then IMS, then 3B. This 10 days is all connected to each other. So very important is you have to be very careful. You have to see, I don't know how you are going to get operative, I don't know. I have seen for the month of October, I have seen my team at least, I don't know, I should tell you or not, they have not opened it. They have not opened. They said, okay, next month let us see, because there's something we have to understand. Before doing something, we should understand that. So there is separate module. I don't know from which section this invoice management system has come. I was not able to get a valid notification, or anybody can tell me any section which is giving that yes, there is something called as invoice management system. And I will tell you there is some ground I can take on this invoice management system, saying that what? This is effective from 1st October. It means before that I don't know which is to be accepted and which is to be rejected. So my ITC should be allowed. Yes or no? A possibility. Because now you have come out with some system. And in between, somebody remember there was some carry forward of ITC? Anybody remember? There's some opening balance of ledger and then adding some credit. I don't know where it got disappeared or something. Some of us have filled all this. So I think this is the rhythm of these returns. This is the way the returns are. It means indirectly the technology is driving the compliances, but simultaneously we also have to be more careful on that. A small mistake in our return from IGST credit we have taken to CGST, SGST, still we are struggling for that. Still the court is also struggling on that. What to do with this? Though there are some decisions which has come out recently and it has said that it has gone to High Court and High Court has said yes, rectification benefit should be given. But how rectification is going to happen when it is not, it cannot be manually, it has to be through portal. So what I'm trying, I'm not criticizing, I'm just saying how the law is getting eluded. So simultaneously we also have to get driven with these amendments, and I think to avoid all that litigations, to reduce the litigations and to do more effect. Why this has come prior to tribunal constitution? So that prior you are going to file this tribunal, all this flood of all these litigations will get reduced because everything will get diluted in amnesty scheme. That's why before tribunal constitution, I was thinking that this will come only after the constitution of tribunal, but I think the government is planning to reduce that so that there is a reduction of work in tribunal only for this administrative or for this minor compliances or this procedural lapses, right? So with this, let us try to understand this amnesty scheme, a very important scheme, and you have to read all the conditions before going into the scheme. We have, this has been come to recommendation in 53rd Council meeting on 22nd June 2024, and it has been introduced in Finance Act 2024 by section 128A, and the rule has been notified as Rule 164, and there is a circular called as 238/2024 only for this amnesty scheme. So if you have to read amnesty scheme, you have to read section 128A, you have to read section Rule 164 and then circular. So in my presentation, I have tried to see that in simple manner, in brief, I have tried to add the sections, rules and circular in brief so that we can comprehensively understand where it is eligible and what is the process we have to follow for this, right? Next, 128A is a new section which has been introduced in the GST law. It was not there prior to that. We have 128, but we did not have 128A. It has been notified by way of notification, and then it is effective from 1/11/2024. This is effective based on notification 17/2024, right? I think it is 27th September 2024, just to recollect, might be some date change might be there, but to my knowledge it is 17/2024, it is effective from 1st November 2024. If you read the headline, column note of this, it is saying waiver of interest or penalty or both related to demands under 73 for certain tax periods. So is it a waiver scheme or is it a dispute resolution scheme or what it is actually? It is actually a dispute resolution scheme by giving a waiver of interest or penalty. what is for certain tax period. Which is that period? They have given period only for 17-18, 18-19 and 19-20. Only for 3 years. It is not till date. It is only for first 3 years of your GST implementation, right? And very important is, this is applicable only when the notice or order is issued under 73 and not under 74, not under 76 or not under any other provision of that. So your notice has to be under 73. This is a very important point for amnesty. I really thought that they would have given for everything, right? But again, making this classification is also a task. But anyway, this is only applicable for 73 as of now. And the period is 17 to 31/3/20. What stage this amnesty scheme is allowed? When a notice is issued under 73, yes, you can go for amnesty scheme. When an order is issued under 73, yes, you can go for amnesty scheme. When the revisionary order is issued, you can go for amnesty scheme. When the appeal order is issued, you can still go for amnesty scheme. You got the point? When the notice or adjudicating order, appellate order or revisionary order. You got the point? So this, against these 4 documents, you can go for amnesty scheme, but it should be under 73, right? So all these 4 stages you can go for amnesty scheme. Next, there are some cases.
What if order is passed under 108 against the ADP?
I'll come to that. At the end, we will take all the questions because there are a lot of this kind of issues. I'll also tell what are my issues also, and then definitely I'll take your issue also. Very important is, most of the central tax officers have issued the notice under 74, even for 2A 3B matters also. Yes or no? And state officers, in few cases they have issued 73, in few cases 74, and I have seen few notices 73 plus 74. So some issues 73, some issues 74. So there are mix and type of orders. Here, when the notice is issued under 74, you have gone to the appellate authority and you have stated that no, this notice should be under 73 and not under 74, and if the appellate authority says yes, it is not 74, it should be 73, then even that order also is permissible for amnesty scheme. Got the point? So these are the kinds of orders where you can go for amnesty scheme. Now, most dangerous. You have concluded the amnesty scheme. You celebrated, but still it is open to the department to open your case and determine the additional liability. Are you able to understand? After the conclusion of amnesty scheme, if the department can file the appeal either before first appellate authority or tribunal or high court or supreme court or revisionary, whatever it is. So in GST law, we cannot celebrate any order. The department can file against your order and can determine the additional liability. Very important. And if they determine any additional liability, that has to be paid within 3 months from the date of order. Please note it down. If you are not going to pay within 3 months, the whole amnesty scheme will become void. You got the point? You got the favorable order, your scheme is closed, you enjoyed. Department has filed the appeal against your, not against your favorable order. They have filed against your notice or against that order whichever was passed originally. Against that, if they find that there is something revenue which has been missed out or some leakage of revenue, they can determine that additional liability and they can make you to make the payment. But what is the silver line here? The silver line is there will be no interest and penalty. Got the point? So today in 2025 you are enjoying that. In 2027 there is a possibility that department can issue saying that there is an additional levy of 10 lakhs. But they cannot levy interest and penalty. They will be only levying your additional tax of 10 lakhs if you are under this scheme. Right? Got it? You have to make within 3 months. Very important point. That's why I marked it as red. And interest and penalty is not payable. Now next. Already I have told you. If interest and penalty is already paid, There is no question of refund also. That is very clear. I need not tell 128.1 proviso has come. Now next important point is, if your order is also having the issue on erroneous refunds. What is erroneous refunds? You have claimed the refund, the department claimed that it is a wrong claim of refund. That is called as erroneous refund. If that issue is there in your order, if erroneous refund issue is there in the order, amnesty scheme is not applicable to the extent of erroneous refund. It means what? Out of 4 issues, 1 issue is pertaining to your erroneous, say 10 lakhs. Other issues are 30 lakhs. 10 lakhs plus interest and penalty you have to pay. And for other 3 issues, you will get a waiver of interest and penalties. Got the point? So for erroneous refund, there is no amnesty scheme which is applicable. You are supposed to pay interest and penalty along with the erroneous refund. And this scheme is applicable even if you have filed writ petitions, writ appeal, anything. If you have filed an appeal or before tribunal, wherever you have filed this appeal, you are still eligible for this amnesty scheme, right? Even if you have filed to High Court as a writ petition, even in that case also you can apply for this scheme, right? In case, if you have already paid the taxes, then it is deemed that it is concluded. Anyway, we'll come to later. Now the most important part is, when you have to go for the scheme, you first have to make the full payment of taxes. I cannot first apply, then officer, in some other scheme what you used to do? It's not like that here. First you deposit. Ando, pehle deposit karo. Like first you deposit, then we will see what is there. So before applying for this scheme, you have to make payment of full taxes. Please understand the word of full taxes. Very specifically they have used full amount of tax, and it has to be paid before 31/3/2025. There is a notification, I think 21/24, which has given a date. So as on date it is 31st March 2025, you have to make a payment. So many of us are confused at that it should be paid prior to November or after November, nothing like that. It has to be paid up to 31st March 2025. Only in the case from 74 to 73, you have to make within 6 months from the date of issue of order. Hope I am clear on this. Now what is, when you are going to make an application, what is the application? Against notice, if you are going to file the amnesty scheme, it is called as SPL1. What is SPL? Special Procedure Law. I think till yesterday even I was not knowing what is SPL. I tried to identify what is SPL. SPL is nothing but Special Procedure Law. So SPL1 should be filed in case where you have to apply for amnesty scheme against notice. Please remember, SPL1 is the case where you have to file amnesty scheme against the notice under 73. SPL2 is applicable when you have to file for amnesty against the orders. Got the point? So SPL1 is against the notice, SPL2 is against the orders. It can be appellate orders or adjudicating order or the revisionary order, right? And whenever you are going to make a SPL1, you should enclose the payment challenge of DRC3. You have to enclose the, because before applying for the scheme, what you are supposed to do? You have to make a payment. How are we going to make a payment? Only through DRC3, right? So DRC3 is a challenge which has to be made as a payment whenever you are going to, before filing this SPL1, and that has to be enclosed along with SPL1. But for SPL2, if you have already paid through DRC3, you have to get set up with DRC3A. I think from yesterday it is active. Just for the information of members, DRC3A is active. There is something new called as DRC3A. This has been inserted based on Rule 142(2)B, which states that even if you have made payment through DRC3, it has to get offset with DRC3A. To that extent, it will be debited to your electronic liability ledger. So already that liability is there in your debit side, so to that extent it will get credited. It means what? Whenever there is an order, you have to use DRC3A. If you have already made payment to DRC3, for against notice, you have to use only DRC3 and not DRC3A. Hope I am clear?
Yeah.
SPL1, notice, DRC3. SPL2, DRC3, DRC3A. Right? So these are the things you have to remember when you are going to file it. And very important is, whenever you are going to make a payment, the most important question I was getting is, Madam, I paid already 100% taxes long back. Under protest, I paid it. Yes, I think few of us would have advised our client, okay, your interest meter will stop. You do one thing, you make payment of taxes, let us fight for interest and penalty, right? Whether the scheme is applicable in those scenarios, because the section was saying full amount of tax should be paid to apply this scheme. So fortunately, a circular 238 has clarified saying that even if you have paid the taxes during investigation or prior to this demand notice, after demand notice, prior to 128, after 120, whenever you have paid prior to 31/3/2025, if you have already made a payment of taxes, you can still take the benefit of waiver of interest and penalty. This was an alarming question for many of us, right? I already paid the taxes, whether I get benefit only for waiver of interest or penalty or not. This discussion was too much in many of the forums, and I think now they have clarified that still you can take a benefit of waiver of interest and penalties, right? Next. Erroneous refund, already I have told you, you have to make a payment. Now very interestingly, I just come out with a important is, there are some notices which are there for 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23. Then I said, you should tell me whether this will get challenged or not. I will tell you very interestingly. I received the notice for 3 years. 19, 20, 20, 21 and 21, 22. I think few of us would have already received the notice for this 3 months, 3 years. This scheme is applicable till what date? It is only applicable up to 31/3/20. And what section is saying? We have to make full payment of taxes. Whether full payment of taxes is only for 1920 or 2021 or 2122. What the scheme is saying, it should be made for all 3 years. Actually, I was shocked when I was reading this. You have to make payment for all these 3 years, 1920, 2021 and 2122. And in case your scheme get approved for 1920, you will get benefit of interest. You have to pay interest and penalty for 2021, 21, 22 within 3 months after conclusion of this amnesty scheme. Is it not risky, sir? I want to adjudicate for 2021, 21, 22. How can the government brings out saying that, okay, for the future period you have to make full payment of taxes, then only I am going to give the amnesty scheme for 1920. So I think this is the most challenging problem. I think this has to be brought to the government so that it will be very unfair to the taxpayers because they cannot adjudicate or litigate for the future period. But as on date, yes.
So there composite order is given and they have requested High Court to get a split order.
Yes.
And then we will not get into 70% something like that.
Yes. Today even Kerala High Court has come out with a decision. We can see that. They have said only for that year you can get a benefit of it. Similarly, they have to bring out, but as on date, a very cautious call is whenever you are advising the client and if they have issued a notice for multiple tax period, be careful before, please read on into this. If it is really fitting into that full payment of taxes, please make a payment, otherwise don't apply for this scheme. If it is really leading into a big loss of interest or payment as the case may be, right? Now next.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can we make a split appeal? Can we make it 3 appeals, split appeals like that?
For what? Against one order?
Yes.
No. Against one order, one appeal. And very clearly they have clarified. In that period, if you receive notices, orders and this revisionary order separately, you have to file the application separately. But for appeal, it has to be only one appeal against one order, right? Next, very important, just SPL 1 we are clear against the notice, SPL 2 we are clear with that against the order. Now SPL 3 is a notice which will be issued by the department. Department will issue the notice within 3 months from the date of your application. So up to 31/3/2025 you have to make payment, right? Up to 30th June 2025 you are going to make an application either in SPL 1 or SPL 2. So till June we are clear. After June now the department has to start working on this. So within 3 months they will issue the notice under SPL 3 if they found some deficiency or some issue if they have. You have to reply in SPL 4. You have to reply within 1 month, right? So SPL 3 is a notice, SPL 4 is a reply to a notice. Once your notice is satisfactory, the department will issue a SPL 5. That is your confirming, yes, you are eligible for the scheme. Which is that for? SPL 5. If the department is not agreeing with your scheme, they will issue SPL 7. What is that? Rejecting your application. So once your application is rejected in SPL 7, what you can do? You can file the appeal against the SPL 7. See, very interesting. Against that SPL 7 itself, you can file an appeal within 3 months. So once you file the appeal and appellate authority says, oh, officer has not done a good, correct job, he is eligible for the scheme, he will issue SPL 6. Who will issue? Appellate authorities. You got the point? SPL 3 is the notice by adjudicating officer or the proper officer. SPL 4 is reply to notice. SPL 5 is confirming your order. SPL 7 is rejecting your order. Against rejecting order, I have filed an appeal and officer has agreed for the scheme. Then which one he will issue? SPL 6. Hope I am clear? SPL 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We are clear. Now very important is, if you are going to, the department cannot file an appeal against your SPL 5 or SPL 6. Very good point actually. If you got a favorable order, yes, SPL 5 accepted or SPL 6 accepted by appellate authority, you can celebrate that, subject to that whatever provision stated. Department cannot file appeal against that SPL 5 or 6. They can file appeal only against that original order. Right? Am I clear? Hope I am clear? Accepting or rejecting application against that, department cannot file the appeal. Department can file appeal only against the issues which are raised in the order. That is the third point we have to remember on that. Now next, in case your order is also having 16.4, 16.5, say you have 1 crore liability in your demand. Out of that, 25 lakhs is pertaining to 16.4, 16.5, 16.6. So when you are going to make a payment, how much you are going to make a payment? 1 crore or 75 lakhs? 25 lakhs is pertaining to 16.4 or 16.5, so you are eligible. So how much you are going to make a payment? You can make payment only of 75 lakhs, not 1 crore. Out of 1 crore, deduct 25 lakhs which is pertaining to 16.4, 16.5, and only the balance 75 lakhs you are supposed to make a payment. Right? The next point. Next. Whenever you are going to file this application and already your case is pending before the courts or appellate authority, you have to make an application for withdrawing that appeal or writ petition, and whatever that writ petition application is there, that has to be enclosed along with your SPL 1 or SPL 2. And in case you have not got the withdrawal order, you have to upload within 1 month from the date of issuance of withdrawal order. Right. Now let us go a little fast on this. So we have discussed up to SPL 7. There is a possibility that department has forgotten to issue the SPL 3 within 3 months. If he has not issued any notice, it means it is deemed that it is accepted. So pray that he don't issue notice. No notice, no reply, no litigation. Right? So within 3 months if he has not issued notice, it means it is deemed to be, the scheme has deemed to be approved. I think that is what very importantly they have brought out. And next is 7 already I have told you. So, and let us presume your application is rejected. What you will do now? You will file an appeal. Your appeal officer also rejected. What you will do then? Already you have withdrawn your appeal. You got the point? You have already withdrawn the appeal. You want to enjoy the scheme, but your scheme did not got approved. Where you will be there? Now where you will go?
Writ petition.
Huh?
High Court.
High Court. After everywhere High Court, what will do?
It is a writ petition.
No. That's why department says don't go for writ petition. What department has stated, wherever you were originally, go back there only. Restored. So you go back where you were litigating with your High Court or Supreme Court, or if you are litigating with your appellate officer, wherever you were originally, you will go back to original law.
Can we go to High Court because I am very confident that I should get the benefit of this. So then, can I go to the High Court?
That is what they said. You can appeal. then only they can give SPL 6. But that SPL 6 is only given by appellate authority. They have not referred High Court.
After the first appeal, I want to go to High Court.
Very important is they have very clearly stated that they cannot go to litigation. They have to go back to the restoration. And they have to give a guarantee letter, a letter of undertaking in SPL 8, saying that I am not going to file the appeal against this. You know, very smart. The government has come out with SPL 8. Once your application is rejected, right? Where will you go back? You will go back to your original appeal which was pending. But for that, you should give SPL 8, saying that I am not going to file an appeal against APL 4.
But that doesn't rule out break jurisdiction can still
Possible.
jurisdiction still it exists.
I am saying this is subject to all litigations because still the form is not there in that portal, still it is not on execution. Whatever we are discussing today is whatever is there in the law. I think possibly with that further amendments, there is a possibility that they can give the benefit of it. Subject to that, we fulfill all the criteria of filing the writ. But as on date, they have said you will be going to your original position. So it will be restored, your original appeal will be restored, and accordingly you have to litigate with the respective authority. Next, very important is SPL 8 already I have told you, and it has to be filed within 3 months. Very important, this letter of undertaking, you have to file within 3 months saying that I am not going to file appeal against this APL 4, right? Last 5 minutes I'll just take, then I think we can take it up closely. Important point I thought I'll just share with you. Next is, in case there is some demand which was pending from you, you are not paying. So the department has recovered that liability from your vendors. I think in few cases it has happened. They have issued notice to our vendors or customers and they have collected tax on behalf of us. Whether that tax can also be appropriated? You got the point? Whether the tax which the department has already recovered, even that also can be set off against this full tax payable. I think that is also a good point. And very important point I want to say you, in your order, if you are having 10 issues, you cannot go for scheme for partial issues. You have to go for the scheme for all the issues. It will not be issue based, it will be an order based. Oh, 5 issue I will go for scheme, 5 issue I litigate, not permissible. So you have to be very careful whenever you are going to decide for the amnesty scheme that it is not issue based, it is an order based amnesty scheme, right? And next important is the benefit is available, that already I have told you. Entire demand has to be accepted or no part acceptance of demand, already I have told you. And waiver apply part, yes, even if the litigation is there for transitional credit, even that credit also will become part of your input tax credit, and accordingly you can take the amnesty scheme even for the transitional credit. Subject to that, notice is issued under 73 and not under 74. Transitional credit also is there. And even if the matters is involving IGST or compensation cess, even that is also permissible. And very important is, somebody was asking, madam, I can take all the penalties benefit? No. Only the penalties which are given in 73, only those waiver you can take. You cannot take e-way bill, amnesty or scheme or other penalties. Only the penalties which they have provided in order of 73, like 122, 125, only those penalties you can take a waiver. You cannot take waiver of late fees. You cannot take waiver of redemption fine. So this waiver is not permissible. And very important is, you can utilize your electronic credit balance for making a payment for amnesty scheme. But if your liability is pertaining to RCM or electronic commerce operator, RCM, then you are liable to pay from electronic cash ledger. Otherwise, you can use your credit ledger. That is what I am understanding. Yes, partly from cash and partly from credit. And if the liability is pertaining to erroneous refund, even that has to be paid from electronic cash ledger and not from electronic credit ledger, right? So all your liabilities can be used, your electronic credit ledger can be used except for RCM, electronic commerce operator, that is 95, and erroneous refund. Other than this, you can use your electronic credit balance for making a payment, right? And very important is this amnesty scheme is not applicable to additional custom duty equivalent to GST under 3 subsection 7 of your custom tariff act, and anything. I think this is what they are trying to clarify. This I have already told you. So I think these are the major clarifications which I found that it will help you out when you are going to file this amnesty scheme. So I request the members to again go through this 238 circular and Rule 164, which is given in notification 20/24, and also section 12080. So this is what has been notified till now, and I think this is still subject to further amendments or further clarification on that, and I think we have to wait and see how it is going to get operated. So till now, few of them were asking, can I make now DRC prepayment and take it forward? I advise you just wait for SPL 1, it get operative, and then you start filing on that. And next is, there is very important questions which is revolving around, in case my appeal time is expired, can I go for the amnesty scheme? Like I was supposed to file my appeal till July 2024. I have not filed the appeal. I have already crossed the time limit. So can I apply for amnesty scheme for time barred appeals? So I think that is still under litigation because this scheme says pending. So whether pending can be taken even those time barred appeals, we have to wait and see. But there are different school of thoughts on that. I cannot conclude on that. But there is nothing wrong in applying for the scheme and taking the benefit of it, right?
If file rejected because of time bar.
Yes.
Can we go?
That's what I was sharing now. So that is subject to litigation. I still, because there is some word used as pending. If you read in 128A, it says pending as an order. So it is pending as on date also because I have not filed the appeal. So based on that, I can try to apply for the scheme. Otherwise, it will get rejected. No such restriction, no clarification till now for time barred appeals. You have to wait and see if they come out with further clarification on that. As of date, I still believe you can file an appeal and file for scheme actually. Yes, you were talking on ADT2 against that revision authority has. This is one more issue which is revolving around. The major issue is whether revision authority can reopen based on ADT2. Because section 108 is very wider compared to your VAT law today. And I read ADT2 as because you can open only against a decision or order. So can you call this ADT2 as a decision or order is a subjective? According to me, they cannot open on this ADT2. They can open only against this SCM or this order as a case.
Issue altogether. Because there are even judgments of high courts.
Yes.
That cannot be a recovery against it.
Yes.
So it cannot be a decision.
It's only an audit report.
But the thing is, they have already done a 108. Can I go for a?
Yes.
This
According to me,
it is
yes.
not originating from 70.
I understand, but I think still you can give because they are using 108 also. You have to try to see that he come out with a notice under SCM 73, something like that. Otherwise, you will not get benefit. Only on ADT2 you will not get. Even though revisionary authority has reopened it, you cannot take the benefit of amnesty scheme.
Revision authority has passed the order.
I know they have passed under 108, but it is not against 73. It is against ADT2. So according to me, it cannot fit into this. Because columnar note says only under 73. Revisionary can open for any notice. It can be for 73, it can be for 74, it can be for 82 or whatever. First of all, you have to challenge that they cannot open against 82. That itself should be a challenge rather than going for a scheme. And I think they don't raise any penalty in 82. They specify, but that will be mandated only through SCM.
Penalty is levied in 108.
I know, that's what they have come out with. They cannot go beyond the scope of notice also. They can only if it is prejudicial to the interest of revenue, if the tax liability is increased, then only they can increase the penalty. They just cannot levy the penalty. They are only the reviewing authority and not the adjudicating authority. So please relook into that actually. In few of our cases, we have litigated that they cannot do this revision proceedings for ADT2. I think the answer agree with me on this. So basic itself, you can challenge on that jurisdiction itself. Though the decision is defined in 108, but that doesn't fit ADT2 according to my view. And ADT2 will be issued under 65. And 65 is nowhere connecting with decision or order.
Since we can't file the appeal against that.
Yes, you cannot file appeal against that. So it cannot happen like yes.
Most of the cases departments are using 73 and 74.
Yeah.
Because they don't know what is 73, 74. So they are using both 73, 70.
That's what I told in the beginning itself. This is a problem. Try to apply to the extent of 73. What are the issues covered in 73? Let us get it tested.
And it is not covered for late fee, redemption fee, etc.
Redemption fine, no.
My order has late fee and redemption fee, and I have a dispute towards that. Can I go for all other issues and keep late fee and redemption fee?
You have to make a payment.
But
They said only full tax. I know they said full tax, but this is also a liability. It cannot be, see, nothing should be pending against this order. That is what they were meant. So you cannot, for only redemption fine and late fee, I cannot. Yes. According to me, they should put total taxes plus redemption fine and late fee actually. They cannot, they have used only total tax payable, but circular is saying that it is not applicable for redemption fine and late fee. So according to my view, they have to pay tax with redemption fine and late fee because waiver is not applicable for that.
Then in recent Karnataka High Court judgment, they said total tax is only tax, not interest or penalty, late fee, whatever.
that
tax
has
is
been given
only
with
tax.
respect to pre-deposit.
Pre-deposit. That pre-deposit 10%. That was there because there was a dispute that you cannot use your credit ledger for making a payment of pre-deposit.
Not that.
Which one is talking?
The appellate authority had sought pre-deposit of 10% even on interest penalty.
Right. That is wrong because section itself says that it should be only on taxes, not on it. Yes, got it.
What we are saying is, can we lean on that decision and say
No,
tax
sir.
doesn't
We can make use of that.
It is only jurisdictional court, and this is PAN based. So I don't advise you to refer that because that will be subject to again further litigation. I am very sure this will definitely. This is though looks very simple scheme, but it will definitely everybody will have when we are going to execute it. Definitely we are going to have a different issues with this. We have to wait and see. But I think we have to be very conscious and take a very conscious decision whether to go for this scheme or not. Just don't get attracted only because you are getting waiver of interest and penalty. If you really have a strong case, if you really have a substantial evidence to justify your case, I think still you can save your taxes also in few of that. So you have to decide case to case and accordingly you have to conclude for this amnesty scheme. Take a decision on this scheme actually. Yes, any other questions?
Passing the orders on combined years, is there is a provision or how?
It is not there in the provision, sir. But they are passing it. It is some administrative circular actually. But it is not there in our regular circular as a consolidated order. Though they have issued a circular for 73 and 74, but consolidated order they are not issued. Even there is a Kerala circular also that they have to issue separate notice for 73 and 74. But prior to that, this has happened actually. So I think with this, is there any further questions?
Madam, regarding reverse charge, we can wait till 31st October, right? The previous one. What is the thing regarding interest? Should we pay interest?
I think yes, because circular itself says that you should pay with interest. Penalty you can litigate, but interest you only pay. Because circular is very specific on that interest part actually. Yes?
If notices are giving under 74, how do we protest for that notice?
Sir, please, whenever notices are issued under 74 for that period, litigate, file an appeal to appellate authority, they will convert into 73 and then go for amnesty scheme.
No, instead of that, the number notice, the center gives only 74. I am not seeing any 73 notices.
Yes, that is a
there
practice.
itself we want to litigate it. How do we litigate?
See, you have to first, you have to come out with a ground on jurisdiction. The second is, you have to say that there is no fraud, suppression or willful statement with all your information and evidence. And if you are able to substantiate that it is not a fit case for 74, automatically it will fall into 73 based on 75 subsection 2. But only thing is, it will, if the adjudicating officer is not the jurisdictional officer, to convert from 74 to 73. So it has to be adjudicated only by appellate authority and not the adjudicating officer. So as an officer, if I have issued under 74, I cannot convert into 73. This has to go through a appellate stage because 75(2) is using only appellate authority. It is not using the term as adjudicating authority.
So that means how we have to get the order from.
Get the order, file the appeal,
adjudicating
convert into
then we
73.
have to go to
Yes, 75(2) you have to apply.
Taking the credit of SCM, what we pay, simple meaning it says that we have to pay initially, after the notice we have to pay
Yes,
everything.
yes.
But in return what we are doing, we are showing in sales also and we are claiming in
Sir, you are paying from your cash ledger.
cash ledger at the same time.
Then next you are taking into credit.
Yes, correct. But what department is saying that it will make the box red. Automatically it will issue the notices.
No, because in practice, most of us are making the payment in the same month
Same.
and taking the credit also in the same month. This issue was there in VAT regime, 3 subsection 2 of KVAT Act was the issue, but in GST it is very clear. 9P and 9P is clear on this. Still I am remembering some section of that law after 7 years. Yes, with this, shall we wind the session? Madam, shall we close the session? So I thank all the members for making this session quite interactive, and thank you one and all for asking the questions and making quite more on practical issues. I think we have to wait and see how it is going to get concluded. Thank you, madam.
Thank you, Annapurna Kabra, for taking your precious time out, and despite having some commitments, you made it today, and thank you so much. On behalf of Bengaluru branch, we thank you wholeheartedly. Can we have a round of applause for that? I'm sure you must have had an interactive, very well engaging session. Yeah, we have a small memento. Members, thank you for your active participation today. It was a good turnaround, 100 registrations, and we saw the hall full. So thank you. Please participate like this in all the study circle meetings, and see you next week with the new subject. Thank you. Good night.